Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you're tuned in for my 2 cents. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad to have you here today. Hopefully, you enjoy your time over here in our space on YouTube, and you will consider joining and subscribing to the channel. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you all immensely, and I hope you guys are enjoying this new format of um the channel. I mean, like, I'm enjoying it. I have literally been creating content randomly throughout the day. Like, I'm just trying to get a feel for it. I've recorded in my bed. I am currently recording in my office, sitting in my comfy chair in the corner. I've recorded at my desk where I normally record my videos when I'm on camera. And I'm just like really letting it soak in that I have the ability and the flexibility to record anywhere. And I love that. Like, I'm still in pajamas. I haven't like done my hair. I don't have on lipstick or any kind of makeup. I am just like able to think of topics, write the notes out, and hit record. And I love this. I love this for me. I love this for me. And I love it for you all too, because I am able to get out my content and have more discussions and talk about topics that are usually like, I don't want to say heavy on my heart, but like things that come to my mind that I really want to expound on and share. And I can do that freely without having to be like perfect for the camera. So I've talked about it before in, some of the other videos that I posted, but I'm super excited about this format, you guys, and I look forward to doing more of it. Maybe like I can commit to doing on-screen videos for like viewer emails, like to actually respond to your emails, or questions, or like specific suggested topics. But we'll see about that. We'll try it. But for right now, your girl is digging and loving this format because I feel so good. It's kind of taking me back to my radio days when I did radio, and you couldn't see your audience, like they couldn't see you. It was just my voice on a microphone over the airwaves. And I love that because that means like a little part of my past is now has, helped me to get to this point. I've had podcast shows, so let's be clear. My husband and I had a podcast that we used to do together called Life with Courtney and Christian. We have a couple of episodes out there that you guys actually can pull up and listen to on Spotify and I believe iTunes as well. And then we had a podcast for our business. Actually, it was called Sunday School, the Sunday School podcast, where we just talked about family, life, business, all of the things for our company. And it was for our customers. It was so dope. I think we're gonna get back to doing that. And my husband has been telling me for months, like, turn your audio from YouTube into a podcast. Like, you should do it. And I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know, y'all. I think I'm gonna ask him, how can I take all the audio from my other 200 videos and, upload them onto a platform? Because I have had some really good videos that I think would be great as podcasts for people to tune into, find, and just listen to while they're working, driving, cooking, shopping, cleaning, or just chilling. A lot of us are consuming information in so many different ways now. And I know what I used to hear my mom or see my mom doing growing up. She always had, TBN on, or the radio networks like Creflo Dollar, Jesse Duplantis, Miles Monroe. I grew up hearing all of these people in my house hollering, screaming on the radio, child, because she was tuned in. The 700 Club, Marcus and Joni Lamb. These folks might as well give. They might as well start a trust fund with my name on it, okay? Because we relatives. But when I think about how other generations consume content, it was pretty much podcasted, Shani. That's what it was given, because you were seeing these people on TV, but you didn't really have the ability to connect with them beyond when they broadcast. When they were broadcast or pay for placement on some networks or radio stations. But now, with the way that society has switched up and access is just like so much easier, yeah, people like me, everyday people, are able to share and to have conversations and start dialogues beyond like a slated time on TV or radio spot. So I love this. I really do. And I'm excited to keep this going. And yeah, let's jump into today's topic. So, 3 points that matter most that I like to say before I start any discussion. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, you're not crazy. Number three, God, your creator, still loves you. And I do too. Ow. Okay. So, today I want to talk about what older generations can learn from us, right? And by us, I mean the adults of today. No matter what your generation might be, if it's Z, well, if it's X or Y, child, I don't know where we at. I know I'm a millennial. Okay, I know I'm a millennial. I have siblings, of course, who are older than me. I'm the youngest of four, and so there are there are prior generations, and let's just go through them, right? So I'm going to look these up, and just so we can have context about who I'm referring to as the generation, the older generation that can learn from us today. I don't just mean millennials only, but I am definitely thinking about even my older siblings' generation too. Like the people that I think can learn something from us would be people from my mom's generation, my mother-in-law's generation, some of your parents, within a certain age group, because they thought differently and they did things differently. And it is very importante. Okay, it is very important that they be learning and that they be watching how we're navigating life in some things that we've learned. So, this is funny. So, you have the silent generation that's from 1928 to 1945. That's a little bit far back, okay? Then you have the baby boomers. So, you have this generation is often defined as people born from 1946 to 1964, which is good. My mom falls in the baby boomers category. Um, let's see. You got Generation Alpha. We are not talking to y'all. Mm-mm. No. Nope. Not y'all, y'all. Y'all young. Like I said, I'm a millennial. From 1981 to 1996. So I was born in 1988. So if you were born between 1981 and 1996, then you would be considered a millennial. Let me see what Generation Y is. That's from 1980 to 1994. Millennial as well. And let's see, what is the. I was going to look at the boomerang generation. Child, we don't even need to know. So essentially, baby boomers, right? So baby boomers would be who I would be talking about here. What they could stand to learn from us present day, right? Um, some of the things. And I have eight lessons that can be learned from prior generations. And respectfully, right? Because this is just based off of things that I've noticed from how I was raised and some of the things like relationship wise, foundational principles, values that I either was taught or I saw projected on other people, my peers, other relatives or whatever. I'm just like consistently like, dang, I can't believe y'all thought that was normal. Y'all thought that was cool. Y'all were just gonna keep doing it, huh? Y'all was gonna pass that down. And I I'm just not doing it. I've discarded a lot of things. And this is what I believe that some of the, baby boomers or older, people can learn from us present day. How to move on. Number one, how to move on. Not getting stuck. I know that what you were born into is easy for you to only know that and that to be what you're used to and to allow what you know to frame your world. It's a certain thing of exploring experiences. A lot of the older generation's experiences is literally where they stopped. They never sought more. They never sought to learn more. They didn't seek to be increased in their experiences, in their knowledge, or even accepting of different things. And so with this, I see now how the future generations have decided to move on. Like I know for me personally, I will speak personally from my life and my experiences as a millennial. I don't mind moving on. I will wrap this ish up so swiftly. if I need to, not staying longer than you should. That's something that older generations have done and they continue to do. Even now, if you try to like enlighten or encourage or show proof of other things or other ways, they just don't want to do it. They're set in their ways. And that's fine if it's not detrimental, if it's not hurting anyone, but it's just understanding there's so much more life, there's so much more access, there are so many other experiences and opportunities in general for your life to just be full. And I feel like a lot of people have missed it because they just weren't willing to move on. The biggest move that I know my husband and I did, that a lot of our family and friends and people of older age didn't do, won't do, haven't done, is moving. um, Moving from one place, like where you were born, raised, all that to another place. A lot of people never make that transition, and I just know that where we were in Mississippi and in life, and I've shared our story before, moving from Mississippi to Texas. Check that video out, so amazing. um, we did it when everything was great. We had no, there was no driving force, there was no pressure, there was nothing going wrong. We were in the process of buying our dream home. Um, we had amazing jobs. We were making the most money that we ever made at that time as a married couple. And we literally had a son that just turned one. And we decided to give it all up. we we gave it all up for what we believed the future would hold, for what we envisioned for our life and for our family. And we were okay with that. We didn't really have a full out plan of what we were going to do when we got to Texas, but we knew we weren't staying in Mississippi. And so we chunked up the deuces. And that's something that older generations have not always been okay with, change and with moving. The next thing that the older generation can learn from present day, us, society, how to speak up for yourself. I know that a lot of people that I grew up around were from the South. This dog is really getting ready to piss me off, okay? This, I don't ever hear a dog barking in my neighborhood, you guys, but today of all days, he wants to lift his voice, he wants to make a joyful noise in my background. Ghetto. Please ignore the dog if y'all can hear it. Okay, so how to speak up for themselves. I know that past generations, especially in the Black community, went through a lot of things where it was fighting for your rights, fighting for your equality, like just the ability to exist safely and be treated equally to your other human counterparts. That was a thing, right? It was a whole battle, it was a whole movement. And I believe that went from maybe the silent generation, right, to the baby boomers. They were raised by people who were part of the silent generation, so they didn't speak up for themselves. In turn, they didn't teach us or show us or demonstrate speaking up for themselves. They just suffered silently. They just took whatever it was because they didn't want to rock the boat. They didn't want to mess up the flow. They didn't want people to be bothered or upset by them. They didn't want to inconvenience others. Well, in this day and age, we don't mind. We got time. You gonna learn. I am not, well, actually, I am the one because I'm going to tell you. I found my voice early on in life. I don't really recall what age I was where I started speaking up for myself, but I do know this, and maybe this was the specific moment. I think I was the second grade. I know my teacher was Miss Williams. I remember there being a boy in my class which has since passed away, Lewis Miller. Lewis Miller. We were kids, and I remember the day I stood up to him. I was sick of him always talking and being petty, as we would call it now. But even as a child, I didn't like bullies. I didn't like people who would literally just overtalk you or make you feel bad, make fun of you. Every time someone would talk in the classroom, Lewis was cracking a joke on them or making a noise while they were talking, and other people would laugh. And that creates insecurity. It makes you not want to speak. It makes you not want to express yourself because you feel like, oh, they're going to make fun of me, or, this sound is going to be made. It was childish behavior because we were kids, but it annoyed me. It annoyed me so much. And it was one of those things where, like your teacher doesn't notice it's happening, or they just have so much going on that they're not going to even stop to correct it. Well, I felt like Lewis had done it too much. And I was like, not today, Satan, get thee behind me. And I was the one. I was the one that spoke up. Um, I was telling a story during our story time. I remember so vividly being on the floor in the back of our second grade classroom at Sister Thea Bowman in Gary, Indiana. We were all sitting in circle time sharing a story, and I was sharing how I went to Mississippi, and I was counting my money. In some way it just looked like my money just kept on increasing. Like every time I counted my money, it seemed like more money would appear. And I actually shared that story with you guys in a past video too. It just seemed like the money kept appearing. I knew I was only supposed to have like $10 or $12, but I ended up having like $22, and I don't know how. It was miraculous, and I was only like 8 or 10. But I was sitting there explaining to my classroom, right? Everybody's listening and, attentive. And Lewis says, yeah, you like sound like you was high or something like that. Like, of course, it like pretty much saying like it didn't happen. He was being a smart ass, but pretty much making fun of me like, yeah, you must have been high. That's why your money was multiplying or whatever. And I got sick of him. And I don't know what came over me, my little body, but I told him to shut up. I was like, Louis, shut up. Like, be quiet. And he did. He did. He stopped. He stopped talking. He didn't say anything back to me. He didn't crack another joke. And I don't know if I told him, like, I am so sick of you, but I shut him down. And from that day forward, it was like my vocal box, it was not a problem for me to get you together, to speak up for myself. And that would be my theme throughout life. Even with my small stature, my small frame, I always was a giant internally. I did not allow people to bully me or make me feel like I had to be silent or be quiet and protect other people's feelings or emotions or care about people's perception. If it was a teacher that was doing wrong, I called them out on it. If somebody wanted to isolate me for speaking out, I called them out on it. I had it happen with me in a cheer squad that I was on. I was the only one that spoke up for myself, even though me and my peers agreed that we were going to call out this coach that was treating us bad. I was the only one that spoke up. I got put off the team. It crushed me. It changed the whole trajectory of my junior and senior year in high school because I enjoyed that. That was an outlet that I really loved being a part of. And socially, I had to shift friend groups because all of my friends were still on the cheer team and they didn't stand up with me the way they said they would, and I was the only one that stood out and stood up. And I know that these are qualities that the older generation could learn from us now. We've learned from them what not to do, and now some of them are learning from us on how to speak up, on how to stand firm, and really go after what you want. Like, don't settle. Just be okay with wanting more, with pursuing more, and, shifting from what you feel or felt or was taught was normal, and like change that narrative. So, speaking up for yourself is a huge, huge thing that the older generation can learn from us. Number three, how effective parenting works. Oh my goodness. I didn't put this in any specific order, but this is like a big thing to me. Effective parenting. Thinking that whooping a child, hollering at a child, punishing a child instead of, teaching different, ways of expression, different ways of protection, different ways of guidance, that is everything. The experiences that children have in their formative years definitely determine how they engage in their confidence in their latter years. And you can't just experience a child to get over something because it happened when they were a kid. No, that's exactly who they become in an adult body. Crazy. Like, what is going on? I don't think people get that. Your past hurts and traumas should not be projected onto your child, for they will too become an adult and possibly suffer just like you. Be conscious of that. I am so conscious and aware of my children being little adults. They're going to be adults one day. They're just small humans now, but they're growing. My son and my daughter are sprouting up by the day. It seems like every time they go to sleep, they wake up a couple of inches taller, a couple of, brain cells smarter, wiser, way more intuitive and inquisitive. And It's like I have a duty. My husband and I have a duty and a responsibility to parent them properly so that they're not healing from the traumas that we have imposed upon them. Anything that I don't understand or I don't get, it's not my job to make it your problem. If I'm suffering or failing to understand how to communicate properly as an adult, I shouldn't then make you suffer or struggle through that. Like, I should be trying to gather all the tools and resources I need to be a better communicator so you can be a better communicator as a child. There's ways to do that. Doing as I say and not as I do. Um, Speak when spoken to. Children are to be seen and not heard. Those are principles I'm not willing to pass down. Those are values I'm not willing to, impose on my children. I don't like that. You always have a seat at the table that I'm at. Like, always. My husband and I just talked about these things before we even started a family. It's like we would just go through all the things that we remembered as a child that we didn't like, and we vowed to not do it to our children. And here we are, 14 years later, right, married with children that are 8 and 5, and we are determined to uphold the things we said. We're not just going to be out here whooping kids randomly because of something they did that we don't like. Learn how to control your feelings and emotions as an adult. Understand that them doing something that you aren't pleased with isn't a slight against you, it's them learning and growing up. And if you can't determine how to help them express themselves and navigate and make better choices, then you need a whooping, right? Like, if you don't want to get whooped on as an adult for doing things that don't make sense, don't be out here lashing children because they're not performing the way you want them to. There's another way, there's an alternative. There's a such thing as having repercussions, right? Like teaching them that for every action, there's a response. You doing this is why I responded this way. You want to have tantrums and act up and not do what I asked you to do, you won't be getting some of the things you want. I told you in the beginning of the day what to expect and what we're going to do if we're going to go somewhere. Your actions that proceed after that will determine if we actually do what I set out for us to do during the day. If you don't want to do these assignments, if you don't want to be focused, if you don't want to, adhere to the structure, not a problem. We won't go to urban air later. We're not going. And you have yourself to thank for that, right? It's not about whooping you or forcing you to act the way I want you to, because at that point you carry that on into adulthood, being performative based off of people's ability to actually punish you or reward you. And I don't want to be the one punishing you with physical things. I'd rather you think about your behavior in the act. Like, dang, if I follow through with this, my mama, we ain't gonna be able to go X, Y, and Z. It's creating patterns. It's being able to develop that trust system where children feel like they're disappointing you more than they're fearing you. And that's an element that I feel like personally, even now, older generations are learning that from us. They call it gentle parenting now, but baby, I'd rather gentle parent than a toxic parent. Like, I just would. I'm okay with it. I don't have to shift my energy to grab and cuss or run after my child or whoop them or whatever. I can stay cool, calm, and collected. Yes, my voice may elevate sometimes, but for the most part, when you done effed up, because I get real low with my talk, my voice. Like, please exit my room. Go upstairs and sit on your bed. You're not getting X, Y, and Z, right? Like, you just forfeited your popsicle. Okay? All right. Go back in the living room. Like, it's just that simple, because you start thinking about it, how easy it is to shut people down by just removing things that they actually wanted. I don't understand what the effectiveness of administering whoop. I'm not going to go that deep, but all I will say is that effective parenting works, and there's some different tools and resources that I believe older generations could have implemented, but they didn't know them themselves. And so, no slight on them, but I just know they're learning from us. And it's so funny to see how grandparents all of a sudden have all the grace and the mercy on grandchildren, but child, they couldn't find a piece of it in their pocket when they was raising us. Ain't that a bit? Anyway, so, number four. Number four, respect. Respect is a big thing. It's a thing that it's it's a quality that I don't think was always honored as or given as adults towards children or as adults towards even their friends or family members. People just said and did what they wanted to. Like I know of several family members who shared the same man. And I ain't talking about spouse. They just was with the same man, siblings, right? Like sisters who just was with the same man, having children by the same man, doing things to each other's friends. And it just was insanity. Respect was totally lacking. People totally didn't know how to respect other people's feelings and emotions. They were like completely oblivious to it and didn't even want to be emotionally intelligent. And self respect just seemed to be at an all time low for some people. It was just a do what you have to do to get by. And it's unfortunate, but I think now this generation is able to show older generations of what respect truly looks like. It's not about getting over on people, it's not about hustling folks, it's not about hurting folks. It's about living in harmony with your community. And your community is whoever respects you, whoever supports you, whoever expresses themselves to you authentically and purely and like properly. It can happen. Like respect is a real thing. I don't know why it just seems so far fetched. You don't have to just respect people because of their age. You should respect people because of like how they treat you and because of who they are. That's just point blank period. If no one's done anything to me, I'm going to respect your space. I'm going to respect your privacy. I'm going to respect your opinion. Like that's why this channel is called My Two Cents, because it's mine. I'm not trying to force my 2 cents on anyone else. This list is my 2 cents on what the older generation can learn from us. That's it. And I'm qualifying my points with my beliefs and my logic pertaining these points. But that's respect. And I don't think people were taught that or even accepting of respect. They just want do what I say, right? Leave me alone. This is how I am and I'm not changing. Okay, I can respect that. But just respect when I want to put space between us because I don't like your attitude. I don't like how you don't have boundaries. I don't like how you don't respect boundaries. I don't like how you don't respect differing opinions, how you get loud, how you overtalk me, or how you think that you can say and do what you want because you're older. You can't do that. You cannot and you will not subject me to your trauma. It's not, we ain't doing it. Number 5, how to accept change. I talked about that in number 1 with moving on. It is a big thing. Accepting change is not a bad thing at all. I think that some people from older generations accept change when it's too late. Like they accept change with their health when it's, declining. They accept change with their family when people start dying. They accept change in their relationships when no one wants to be around them. It's like, dang, you couldn't have grasped this concept earlier. Like, what are we doing? We didn't have to get here. You should have stopped doing that. But there's just no accountability. And so with accepting change comes accountability. And how do you have accountability? Like by respecting people, in the differences and allowing those people to then like give helpful, sound wisdom and advice and you taking it. I know a lot of people, older people, who don't like other people to know more than them. They like will not acknowledge that you have any kind of wisdom because you're not in their mind on their level. And it's sad because they end up literally being in a deficit, relationship wise, emotionally, spiritually, financially, because they don't want like to accept change. They don't want to accept that there's more that they don't know, that there's more that they can be doing. It's just easier to stand solid in their ways. As people say, well, you know how they are. They set in their ways. Okay, honey, be set in your ways away from me. All right. Number 6, independence. Older generations can learn independence from us. We are independent from a lot of different systems. The number one thing that comes to my mind right now is like the workforce. A lot of entrepreneurs are springing up and sprouting. And I know specifically for women and Black women, we are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. Like we're growing in that direction so fast, like having ideas and becoming solutions to a lot of everyday problems that we're experiencing as parents, as women in the workforce. um, we notice things, and then the way our mind works, we're always thinking of ways to get things done, to be efficient with our time or in certain spaces. And then that turns into a business, that turns into consulting, that turns into, teaching, that turns into products, um, services, access, resources. We just do that. And so that independence is causing a lot of people to shift from saying, I'm okay with this schedule or with this level of control or this level of, um, dependence on this system versus me building my own system and still having like my own thoughts and my own avenue to express myself. I think that we're doing that so healthy, like in such a healthy manner, where we're just not settling. And so that independence is something that can be learned. I know that the narrative has always been, based off of where I'm from, like get a good job, right? Like get a good job, well, go to school, get a good job, make money, provide for your family. Anything else is just extra. You're doing too much, you want too much. No, I can want more. It's okay. I'm not hurting anybody with my desires, right? So that independence, like not being so dependent on someone else's next move before you can even think of what you're going to do next. You're planning your next move, you're executing your next move, and then you're enjoying what you actually helped to come to pass or what you actually set out to do, seeing that happen. It's rewarding. So having independence, especially in church, oh my goodness, like the independence that a lot of people in this generation has found spiritually is everything. Of course, people say, well, that's the great falling away from the body of Christ, from the church. People are making an exodus from church because it literally is not serving them. We've seen what it has done or hasn't done for some of you. Like I've seen people who, and I still know people who are well into their 60s, their 70s, and they're in the same position they were in when I was 10, when I was 12, when I was 6, still getting prayer lines, still touching and agreeing, still speaking in tongues, still giving the same tithes and offerings, still showing up for the same people that don't like them or don't treat them well or don't really care about them at church. And that independence from that system, thinking that you're depending on God when truly you're depending on the perception of man. You're going to worship with these other people who also have flaws. And none of y'all are really addressing any of the things y'all need to be addressing to live a more fulfilled life with the tools that God gave y'all allegedly in the Bible. Like, what is y'all doing? How y'all gonna be out here with a whole manual for the existence, and y'all ain't even happy in your existence? The math don't be mathing, but the independence still gives. Number 7, leaving something for your family is the goal. So this is something that I believe past generations can learn, specifically in the Black community. Leaving something for your family should be the goal. It just should be. Before we had children, my husband and I waited 6 years before we had started our family, and we were expecting earlier on in our marriage, but I miscarried, and I don't think I've ever done a video on that. I'll need to talk about that, right? Because it was a whole experience, and it was really enlightening, and it really did, do a lot for me emotionally, mentally, spiritually, right? Um, it just, ugh, it was a season in life. But leaving something for your family is the goal. I know that as a Black woman and a Black mom and a Black business owner, that everything that I'm doing right now is a build up to what my children will inherit, what they will have, what they can look forward to. And I'm not talking about just in business, but I mean what they can have for themselves, like what they can go on to create and build and do based off of their interests and their desires and the vision that they have in their hearts. Um, we weren't given that. Like, I'm not a trust fund baby. I didn't inherit anything. I don't know what I stand to inherit from my mom or my dad if they have any will or trusts or anything like that. Um, but I know my mama didn't inherit anything from her parents when they passed. My mom's first time seeing her dad was in at his funeral. Okay. My grandmother, when she passed away, she didn't want to. She didn't. None of her affairs were in order. None of them were in order. And same can be said of my father on his side. His parents left him and his siblings nothing. And I know some people feel like, well, your life is for you and you got to enjoy yourself. Yes. What I don't think people understand is that, or the older generation doesn't understand, and I hope that this gives like some clarity on where I'm going with this. You not having anything to leave for your family is just a way of saying you didn't have, you weren't even living the fulfilled life that you should have been living. Because I'm going to tell you something. It is something to be said of people, even people who work, even people who are not entrepreneurs, everyday people, everyday good people, citizens that get up, go to work, they're faithful, they pay they taxes, right? These are people who usually plan, have a 401k, pay into their health, their health care, their life insurance. These are just everyday decisions that you're making so that people in your family, currently or future generations, can have something, right, to pull down from, or help take care of you if something happens to you and you need to be taken care of. They can say, okay, well, my mom or my dad had a 401k. Let's go ahead and pull something out of that to pay for X, Y, and Z. They need this, they need that. Let's do that. And it's not stress or pressure. Those elements of you taking care of your life and doing the things to plan and to be, present mentally and emotionally for yourself, but also for the future generation, that says a lot about like just enjoying your life. Like, I'm going to set this up so I'm enjoying it right now, and so other people can in the future, right? My children, or if I don't have children, my nieces or my nephews. It's just being thoughtful in that way. It's not saying that you're struggling or stressing out for other people in the future, but it's saying that the way your life is set up now, is there anything that anyone else could enjoy because of your focus and because of your commitment to living a full life present day? Like, knowing that there are some people that just give up, they just stop trying, they stop pursuing. It's like your life stopped. It's not about what you're not leaving for me as much as it is what you missed out on for yourself. You not traveling, you not going, you not doing, you not pursuing, if you wanted to own a home or have a better car or anything like that, you cut yourself off from that. And the goal should be to leave something for your family, even if it's not physical or material. It can be a mindset, or it can be, a demonstration of access or resources or experiences. Like, no matter what we did or didn't do or didn't have, she always did this, she always said that. These are the memories, right? And I think about it like that. Like, if my children are running around in our warehouse or our facility, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, these are memories they're going to have forever. They're literally seeing us create something from the ground up. They know what it is to, put in the work and actually see the benefits. They actually know what it is to have access to their parents throughout the day, instead of just after they get out of school or after we get off of work. They're present, we're present, and we're doing this together. That's leaving them something. That's shifting their mindset, and that's giving them perspective that the world usually won't show. You have to be able to get that from the personal relationships and development that you are exposed to as a child, based off of who you're being raised by. And so I think that older generations could learn from leaving something for your family. Like, you can do that. It's okay. You're not missing out on anything, or refusing yourself access to something for somebody else. It's just you building something that is enough. It's more than enough for you to enjoy now, and someone else to, continue on from later. I think about that like with pastors in churches, like we're business owners. They pass their stuff down. They build something up to where they can expand and give opportunities to their children or their family. TD Jakes is giving his daughter a whole organization and a whole ministry that she can monetize. That's a gift. That's passing something along. That's becoming big enough, that's becoming bigger than just yourself, building out a brand where there are branches and there are different avenues that you can then start putting people into position for, right? And your name lives on and your brand continues to grow. And I just use him as an example because we all know of Potter's House and the different locations, and then the Woman Thou Art Loose, and then he's getting ready to, do even more. But that's leaving something, as with, and I use that as a church reference, but this happens all the time in the corporate world and with family owned businesses. It just is what it is, and we have to change our mindset about that. And my last point is it's okay to be proud of yourself and things you've accomplished. So this is the number, like the last point, but the most relevant thing that I can think of that I hope that the older generation can learn from us. It's okay to be proud of yourself and the things you've accomplished in raising your children, and succeeding and making it to the point that you are at now. It's okay to be proud of that. You actually should be, because I'm pretty sure that you've gone through a lot of things and you've seen a lot of things and you felt a lot of ways that may not have always been favorable, but you did it. And it's okay to sit in that. It's okay to elevate your feet and to be like, whoo, child, I made it through. I got them out, right? I think about it like that for me, for my mom, like knowing what Gary, Indiana was, like literally having to get on the floor at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because there was a drive-by shooting on our street, right? Or her choosing to send us to Catholic school instead of public school because she didn't want us to deal with certain, you know, uh, instances, if you will, or be exposed to certain things in the public school system back home. I get that. She did that. That was her vision for her family, for her children. Her ultimate vision was to homeschool, but that didn't work because my daddy decided to bounce. Okay. Um, but yeah, knowing that she successfully raised 4 children, 3 daughters, 1 son. We all made it out of Gary. Well, we can all make it out because my brother still lives there. But my point is, we all grew up in the city and none of us were jailed, right? None of us had any situations that would make her feel like, dang, I failed. That just didn't happen. It didn't. And I believe that that was because she believed her faith, her prayers, they really were answered. And the example that she set was very good for us. And even though she was very strict, it worked out. It did. I could see why she did the things she did. I could see why she didn't let us go some of the places that we thought we wanted to go. Um, and I'm okay with that. I ain't like the whoopings. Now that part she could have took. She could have kept that. But she should be proud of the children that she raised by herself. I'm a married mother with just 2 kids, and I'm like, dang, sis, you did it with 4 with no man. Gotcha. Let's get her an award, right? Let's get these people a cape. Get these people a cape here. So, um, it's okay to be proud of yourself and the things you've accomplished. To all of the older generations, or people like from older generations, it's okay. It's okay to give yourself that pat on the back and to be proud. If war veterans can be proud of what they've accomplished and how they protected the country and served, you too should be proud of the humans and the people that you raised or the things that you accomplished in the face of adversity when there was a lot of uncertainty. Like, you definitely should hold that flag and wave it, because there's people out here, honey, like lifting themselves up times 10. These people out here creating ads for themselves, and they ain't done a part of what some of the older generation did. But people are celebrating themselves now. People are resting in their truth. They're standing in even the smallest accomplishment because they understand that that affirmation creates a confidence level that just is hard to penetrate or to pierce. It's just so hard. And so we just got to get, understand that yes, the older generation was born in a time where things were different. The world was different, access was different, information and technology was different. Um, but these advancements have shown us what we can look forward to, but it also has shown them what is possible. Even in their latter years, they can shift and change the narrative and enjoy their time left and make the changes they need to make. Because some people need to make some changes and right some wrongs, better some relationships, rebuild some bridges, and all of that. And there is still time for you to do that. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I know that I have, because just thinking, back through some of my familial, you know, things that have happened, it's just like, dang, I can see where this person could have benefited from that if they just knew. If they had a voice like this, if they had a platform to listen to. My 2 cents. Bars. But yeah, so if you've enjoyed the video, go ahead, like it, subscribe to the channel. I would love to add you to my 2 cents crew. If there are any lessons that you have learned, like as you've gotten older, from generations, after you, share that. Like, what are some things that you've learned from the younger generation, if you're of a certain age, or if you fall within the baby boomer category? What are you learning from your children or from other family members, relatives, coworkers, or whatever? I would love to hear it and see it. I know that there are a lot of things people say negative about millennials, or the new generation, and I get that, because everybody will see things based off of where they are and what they've experienced. There are some things that I don't myself stand with or stand for or like, but I choose to focus on the good things, and so I listed some that I think were good and healthy here, and we can keep the discussion going in the comment section. So holla at your girl, let me know. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.